when you taste something with buckwheat, you know it's buckwheat. It's not shy. It's not actually a type of wheat. It's actually related to rhubarb. What do I say after that? You guys, I totally forgot. All right, we're just gonna have to do it. Damn! Today we are making a very fudgy brownie that just happens to be gluten-free, and we only need 3 ingredients to get there. The only ingredients you'll need are a chocolate hazelnut spread, like Nutella, eggs, and buckwheat flour. So this brownie recipe, all we need is a bowl and a spoon. Truly couldn't get easier. First thing we're just gonna do is measure out our chocolate hazelnut spread. I'm using Nutella, you can use whatever you want. So this is the bulk of our brownie recipe. It has all the chocolatey goodness. It has some fat, it has some sugar. It is basically the reason why this is such a few ingredient recipe. Okay, we're almost there. So I'm using a scale here because like peanut butter or tahini, chocolate hazelnut spread is very gooey and sticky. And when it gets somewhere, it doesn't really wanna leave, you know? So if you put it in the measuring cup, it doesn't wanna go out into the bowl. If you don't have a scale, it's 1 1/4 cups. You get it out, but this is just a tiny bit easier. So if you have a scale, why not use it, right? So eggs are going to add some structure to our brownies and take them from being a giant puddle of Nutella to a baked good. Oh no. So this brownie recipe uses the same template as a lot of 3 ingredient brownies: chocolate hazelnut spread, eggs, and flour. But we are not using all-purpose flour. We are using buckwheat, which is one of my favorite baking ingredients because it has a kind of bitter, very earthy, super duper confident flavor. Anytime you have a baked good with buckwheat, you know it's buckwheat, and I love that. I'm adding 60 grams of buckwheat, which shakes out to like 1/2 cup. So despite its name, buckwheat is not actually related to wheat. It is a pseudo cereal related to rhubarb, of all things, which is why it's naturally gluten-free. So a lot of baking recipes, they use buckwheat flour because it has no gluten. They will supplement it with all-purpose flour, and that's just to create more structure in a baked good. So say you're making like a bread, that would be especially important. But we're not making a bread, we are making a brownie, which means that the lack of gluten here is actually to our advantage. It means that we're gonna end up with a brownie that is like more tender, ultra fudgy, supremely delicious, and it's all because we actually didn't need to use multiple ingredients. We can just take advantage of buckwheat exactly as it is. So to make sure our brownies don't stick, you can either line the pan with parchment or you can spray and flour it. I'm gonna spray and flour it. Now, a lot of recipes would just have you use all-purpose, what you'd be using in baking. We can just use the buckwheat. It is going to provide a little extra flavor, and it's also going to provide insurance so the brownies don't stick. So this batter is extra thick, almost frosting-like. If you can't get it perfectly like in the corners of the pan, that's okay. It's gonna melt out in the oven and fill the pan. Okay, great. So now this last piece is optional, but I always do it. Just a little bit of flaky salt on top. It gives the sweetness from the chocolate a little pop, pop, pop. So you feel like you could eat more than 1 brownie, and like you probably should. So these are gonna bake at 350 for like 20-ish minutes. And while they're in the oven, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel so we can make even more few ingredient desserts together. This is our 3-ingredient buckwheat brownie. Make sure you come back next week for even more few ingredient recipes, and I will talk to you then.